Hey, good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Tremendous Monday to you. You excited about your week this week? What are you planning on accomplishing? What is it that you're hoping to achieve this week? What is going to make this week special for you? You know, that's a question that I used to struggle with, to be honest with you. I used to get up, and on Monday mornings, man, I don't know if I'd hit the snooze button more any other day of the week than I would on a Monday morning. It was like, oh, God, not another Monday. Are you kidding me? It's like, I wanted so bad for there to just be one more day in the weekend. I dreaded Mondays. And many, many years ago, I got the good fortune. I went to a couple of seminars and read some books and got an opportunity to learn from some other people that I really respected, some ideas about scheduling and planning and so forth. And they just helped me so much. And I approach my weeks a lot differently. And I'm able to get a lot more done. And I know for me, if you're like me, years ago I used to think, well, you know what? I don't need to really have a real tight schedule to get things done because I already know what I need to get done. So I've sort of all got it in my head. I know what I need to get done, or maybe if you're like me, you've tried this one before. Like, you know what? I've tried to work off of a schedule before. I've tried to plan my week before. That's not really me. It doesn't really fit my personality that well. I'm better just sort of going with the flow and going off the fly. Or you know what? I don't really have a schedule, but I've got a to-do list. And so I've got a to-do list, and I know everything that I need to get done because I got it all written down on the to-do list, and I check things off as I go, and that's the way I make sure that I get everything done. And there's a technique I learned many, many years ago I want to share with you guys that was really, really helpful to me. And I think Tony Robbins was the first one I heard it from. He called it an hour of power. And what is an hour of power? Really, it's on Sunday night, or it could be at any time during the weekend before the week gets started. It's taking an hour or two to plan out your week. And so most of us are so caught up in our routines and our habits throughout the week that we don't put a lot of time or effort or energy into planning our week. At least if you're like me, you don't. Or at least like I used to be. And when I first learned this concept and began to read more about it and study more about it, what I found was that there's so many things that I want to achieve during the week. For me to have like an unbelievable week, and that's really the basis. That's where you start the whole process, is by asking yourself this question. If I was going to have an unbelievable week this week, what would I want to achieve? And it starts with just brainstorming, like, what are all the possibilities? I always break mine down into a number of different categories. So for me, it's like, in my faith, what is it that I'd like to achieve this week in my faith? How can I grow my faith this week in the way that I want to? What would it look like this week? And how are all the different ways I could go about doing that? Well, it may be like going to Sunday service, maybe going to midweek service, maybe being a part of a small group study, maybe opening up and reading some scripture, maybe spending just more time in prayer, whatever the case might be. And what about in my key relationships with my spouse and my kids? Well, we could go on a date night, we could do this and we could do that. And what about in my health? What are all the different ways I could address my health? And then what about in business? And usually for me, business breaks up into about 4 or 5 different categories. And then what about at home? What are some of the different things around the house that I need to do to sort of maintain our home and maintain our lifestyle? And so one of the things I learned to do is to chunk things. And I come up with all these different categories in each, and a whole bunch of to-dos underneath each category: for faith, for family, for finances, for health, and then 3, 4, 5 in business. This part of my business, that part of my business, that part of my business. And I come up with all the things that I'd like to get done or I think would be good for me to get done in a particular category. Then once I sort of look at all those things, here's what immediately occurs to me. There's no way humanly possible I can get all of those things done. And that's important. See, most of us have to-do lists that never end, that we never get to the bottom of, and we sort of beat ourselves up. So for me, in planning a great week, the first thing I need to acknowledge is I can't get everything done on my to-do list this week. It's impossible. And so what that forces me to do is something really, really important. Forces me to prioritize, forces me to look at each thing and say, okay, in this category, I can't get everything done. So what are the 2 or 3 most important things for me to achieve in this category this week? And I look at the next category and the next category, and then I begin to say, okay, more important than a to-do list. See, one of the challenges with a to-do list doesn't have how much time is it going to take me or how much time will I allow. So as I begin to look at, okay, here's the 2 or 3 most important things in the area of my health or of my finances or this chunk of my business, for example, Then I begin to say, well, how long would it take me to get that done? Is that a 15-minute task, a 30-minute task, an hour? Is it 90 minutes? Do I need to get it all done at once, or can I chunk it down into 2 chunks throughout my week? And then I begin to chunk up my week and schedule these blocks of time. And there's a real power in doing that. First power is eliminating all the tasks and acknowledging up front that you're not going to get a lot of these things done. Number 2 is prioritizing and choosing the most important things, the things that are going to give you the greatest amount of leverage and help you to get the greatest amount of results that week. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but for me in the past, man, I would have super busy weeks, and work really hard, and I was like busy all week long, and at the end of the week I got nothing done. There was no real results at the end of my week. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this throughout the week, but the first key is you've got to have an hour or 2 when you sit down and really plan your week and decide what it is that you want to achieve. Begin to prioritize inside of brainstorm first. Number 2, brainstorm first all the things that you could get done in each category. Number 3, prioritize. What are the most important things in each one of these categories for me to get done? Then number 5, begin to take those priorities and figure out how much time is it going to take me to get that done. Am I going to do it in 1 chunk or 2 chunks? Am I going to do a little bit of it every day? Number 5 or number 6? I sort of lost my place. Number 5 or number 6? We'll just call it number 6. Number 6 is then begin to take those tasks and those chunks of time and physically put them in your schedule. Tuesday from 9 to 10 and Thursday from 9 to 10. Wednesday from 11 to 1. Wednesday and Friday from 3:30 to 5. Whatever it is, begin to put them in your schedule. Give yourself some wiggle room between tasks. And then the last thing to say, as you're putting those chunks into your schedule, make sure that, number 1, you're doing some of the hardest things, some of the things that you fear the most early in the day when you've got a lot of energy to get them done. And number 2, give yourself, make sure that you've got the right amount of energy, you're in the right kind of space, whether it's a Monday morning or a Tuesday afternoon, to sort of achieve the things that you need to achieve. I hope that helps you get your week started a little bit better, and we'll sort of follow up with some ideas tomorrow on it, okay? Have a terrific Monday evening, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.